Good evening, everybody. It is Valentine's Eve, and you have chose to join us at the board meeting. And so we thank you for that. And hopefully you'll have a wonderful holiday for those celebrating tomorrow. And getting a few more joining us here. That's great. So thanks again for being here. As always, you can check board docs for our agenda, which we post and update up to the minute if any changes come in, but that'll be the latest and greatest what we're talking about tonight. So feel free to navigate out there and take a look. And I will do a quick rundown of our agenda. Looks like we're at 6:39. And so I'm just going to make sure. So AJ online. No, not yet. Okay.
He's not coming.
Oh,
You
he's
mean
not.
Scott?
Okay. So we just have us in the room then. Okay, cool. All right. So rundown of the agenda. We'll have time for public comments. If anyone has anything to share this evening, our guidelines are you have 3 minutes to share. So we'll do that in just a minute and you can pop your name in the chat if you have something to share. From a public comment perspective, we have a few votes. That will be very exciting this evening, I'm sure. The standard vote on the minutes. So we'll always look back, make sure that we captured everything appropriately on our January 23rd meeting. And we'll be talking a little bit about Marissa this evening and her term. And then we'll talk about the secretary position. And those will flow nicely together, I'm sure. So we're excited about that. And then we'll move on to our admin team and all of the updates from Heather, Kathy, and Jared. And I see the reports out there for our view and board docs, and we'll go through all those details. Looks like we do have a vote we want to take tonight around school enrollment numbers. Do you want to vote on that? Do you want to discuss that?
I don't know if we
marked it from
need to
last
vote on
time,
it,
so I wasn't sure if it was a vote. I put it there in case, but
Well, I don't think we would
we
need
talked
to
about
vote
those.
if we were gonna change our enrollment cap.
Uh-huh.
I think that would need to be a
Vote.
vote. So, but that's easy.
Yeah.
So like just cover and get it done.
Okay, yeah, we can do that.
You
That's
wanna
fine. Yeah.
touch on it tonight. We talked about it and it seemed like there might be something there.
Okay.
So that
Yeah.
if there is something, I'll just put it there in case. So we can talk through that. I know we will have the upper L deep dive. So for any of you dialing in for the upper L feature, we have a deep dive on that this evening. So we're excited about that. So no AJs, are we skipping finance?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'll
Heather,
share.
if you
Yeah.
had anything, then
Yeah,
Heather will
share
cover in on
Mhm.
anything on finance. I see Sarah jumped on, so we'll get our PTO update. Committees, I see some work there in terms of things to talk about with fundraising, so that's exciting. I'm sure we'll touch on that tonight, and then we will hear from Stacy and adjourn. So sound okay? Did I catch everything?
Wonderful. Yeah.
Okay. All right, so over to the public. Again, you have up to 3 minutes to share a comment with the board. So feel free to place your name into the chat if you would like to make a comment. Or you can raise your hand virtually. One more person coming in the waiting room, so I'll wait a couple more seconds here for any public comment. Okay, we have a quiet group this evening. All right, we'll move along. Also, I'm saying hi to Kate. She's in the room. She's online. Hi, Kate. New board member here with us. Very exciting. So that is great. And that brings us to, we have two other board discussions and votes, which is related to Marissa Caravel's. So
Mhm.
she's been with us 1 year on the board. I feel it's been a very fruitful and productive year with your leadership of all of the things of the annual giving and really getting some good energy going there. And so appreciate all your time and attention around all of that and
Absolutely.
work and partnership across with PTO and with administration. And so I don't know if any others have any discussion points or
I
considerations?
think she's done an amazing job, and I would put a motion on the table to extend her for 2 more years to fulfill the 3-year term.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? 2 more years, Marissa, welcome.
Okay. Thank you, Heather. Okay, thank you for serving. You want to make a speech?
She's like, wait, I didn't even get to say no or thank you or maybe not. That's why we go fast.
Get over and done with
I don't want you to back it out.
No, I'm not backing. out.
Okay, good.
I'm with you guys.
Good, good.
Yay, we
Thank
appreciate you.
No,
That's great.
absolutely.
I need to vote on minutes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
What's
Minutes.
that?
Last month's minutes.
Oh, shoot. See, I went right to the juicy.
Yeah,
stuff.
you were
Okay,
so
sorry.
excited.
So excited. Okay, let's go back and hit the minutes.
Yeah.
So don't forget, January 23rd, we had a meeting, we recorded minutes.
Move to approve them.
They are online for your viewing.
Really good.
Kevin,
Oh,
motions to approve?
I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Easy enough.
Kevin and I are
Thank
feeling.
you.
So we're getting it done tonight.
Thank you. I know, I'm getting excited here, going quick. Okay. All right, so we've got that. Thank you. Okay, so this is the moment at which I say I am transitioning out of the secretary role this
Mhm.
evening. It's me last time typing the minutes, and no, I'm not gonna hand the laptop off to anyone in this room just yet, but we do need to vote.
Yeah.
To transition the secretary office. I have had this office for 4 years, and I am happy to pass it along to someone else who can take the lead on all of the wonderful things with regards to minutes and board docs and the various elements that we have.
Do you have to be able to work Zoom?
What's that?
Do you have to be able to work Zoom?
Have to work soon.
You're out.
Then I nominate Marissa.
Okay.
I think
Zoom
that's-
is, there's a lot of elements to the secretary
there is a lot of elements.
jobs now.
Yes. the-
Can you tell us just briefly the top 5 tasks, the time it takes? What are the things that are most time consuming?
So taking minutes, setting up agendas, working within the board docs
Mhm.
system, which we implemented.
2 years ago
I think
now?
it was about 2 years
Yeah,
ago.
actually,
Yeah,
maybe.
it was about halfway through the time.
But then we started really posting like last year.
Yeah,
At this time,
so-
we had it, but I think that like we didn't
Exactly.
really start, like now everything's there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we got it as a system, right? We
Mhm.
invested in it as a tool about
Yeah.
2 years ago and then
Yeah.
really started to make full use of it, just fairly recently to make sure that, we're being transparent about everything. And that's part of what you all as the public have a chance to see and view and go
Mhm.
back. And it's just great because it's really quite easy to use and just
Yeah,
navigate
it
through
is.
and,
It is.
all of that. So I think that's the big thing, also just set up with new board members.
Mhm.
And just kind of keeping the agendas and keeping us on track with various things, hospitality, those
Yeah.
kind of things. When are we gonna meet? Who's meeting? Are we there? Do we have the minutes? Just keeping us up to date on, committees, making sure our committees are taking minutes
Yeah.
and all of that, so.
I think,
Those are some of the
you've
big
definitely
things.
laid out a strong foundation. For sure. And just done such a nice job of just keeping everything organized, keeping us organized, not letting us slip up or move away from that task. And that was never a strength in my wheelhouse. So I dodged that train as fast as I could. I'm so appreciative of your skill set and your ability to maintain and just do it with grace and keep us all on track. And the communication piece has really came a long way, and that's with what you've done with it, right? So that I think that we have just, I've seen it over the last 3 years, probably even more so, but just really made some huge strides in that area with just keeping everything organized and on track and definitely more transparent. And that was you leading that charge this year, so specifically. So
Mhm. Stephen on, I do want to do a shout out to Stephen.
He
He's
is,
on there.
yeah.
He's such a big help with all the technical aspects too, and making
Mhm.
sure that we are communicating from a website perspective, and all of us have our
Yeah.
accounts and everything set up accordingly. So it's been wonderful to work with
Yeah.
him as a liaison and make sure we have,
Mhm.
access at these meetings and,
Yeah.
laptops if we need them and all that kind of stuff. So
Absolutely.
that's been great too. So.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think piggybacking on Kevin's motion, that I think Marissa would be a fantastic nominee and roll with the role even under Kristen's leadership and support there. So that sounds like an excellent nomination from me.
I wasn't sure if you had some interest too, or you were just nominating me.
He was.
Oh, okay.
Any other nominations? The floor is
Any
open.
other
The floor
nominations?
is open. Okay.
All right. Any more discussion on the matter? Marissa, is this a role that you would be willing to take on?
I am willing. I did have a soft dry run over the summer.
Mhm.
It was a little stressful, but I think
When I get out of the country and I said, good
So
luck.
you were also like in Canada doing that.
I was in Canada.
You were out of the country too,
Yeah,
yeah.
but yeah, it's a lot of little balls that you have to like
Yeah.
keep up with there. That Kristen's done an amazing job at making it look easy. But I just ask for you guys' grace as I try and ramp up to Kristen's level. Yeah.
And let's set time for training. I've written a lot of things down, so there are
Mhm.
documents out there that list every single responsibility, every single
The HR succession planning over
thing
here.
that I do.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's written on a document. It's a long document now. So it is written though.
I do like that she's still gonna be here.
Yeah.
And
Or,
I'm not
yes.
leaving the board yet.
No,
so-
no.
Still a member,
Yes.
still active member.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
That's all good.
Okay, that's good. All right, well, it sounds like we have a motion. I will happily second that as well. And then we can go ahead and put it to a vote. All those in favor of moving Marissa into the secretary role? Aye. Aye. Right, good. Any opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations.
There you go. No.
Next.
Start taking this thing.
March is
I'll
gonna
finish
be
the
your,
minutes tonight,
your
it's okay.
shining month.
Yeah, we start in March.
Yeah. That would have been pretty awesome though.
Yeah.
Finish it
All
up
right
tonight.
then. Very good, okay.
Kristen, you've done a fantastic job.
You
Uh,
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We expect the same level of service.
No pressure,
But
it's all good, there's a
Nobody's
lot to
ever done
learn.
anything before.
There's a lot to learn. I'm thankful for the board docs thing. It really
Yeah.
just makes it pretty straightforward, and that's
Mhm.
helpful to just keep things out there. And
I've even not screwed it up a couple times. That's been good.
yeah,
Like,
and there's really not a lot you can do to
Right.
truly mess it
Yeah,
up.
yeah, it is nice.
Yeah.
Assets messed up next month.
Yeah.
You can't screw it up. Again.
It's tough too. It is possible to, but.
No worries.
Okay.
Great. Full confidence. Let's set time if we need it for training.
Yes.
Sounds good. We'll do that. Okay, that's the big stuff there. And we'll flip it over to Heather for your update.
Okay, so we'll talk, I uploaded a document, but then just put some new stuff on there and uploaded it again. So you may want to reopen it if you did.
Okay.
I'll jump over the enrollment and we'll kind of do that towards the end. Construction update. So had 2 contractors to reach out. One just didn't work out, wasn't a good fit. I think they would have been fine to work with. It was just all of those other pieces of, well, you need to find, a contractor, you need to find a architect, So then I reached out to the second company, and so far they've been wonderful. They came out, they brought their engineer, took lots of pictures, kind of went through, And so I kind of want to talk to you all about that. They kind of told me the steps of what we needed to go through. So this person would be doing the plans first, getting that, and it's like $850 to do that. And then they will walk you through the next step for that. I did say, okay, could you give me, I know it's hard because we're in the beginning stages, but what a rough estimate would be. And we had, it was Kathy Tito and I, and then their team. We talked to them about renovating the 2 rooms and then renovating the 3rd room. So getting a price for both. They responded with, of course, this is all like very beginning stages, but they could see it anywhere from 45,000 to 75,000 would be what it would cost to either add 2 or 3 restrooms, depending on.
That's within the range of what we got quoted last
Yeah.
time when we first were looking at it.
Yeah.
I think we were right around that.
Yeah.
That range. So that's good to hear.
You know, I've kind of researched on my own. This company seems very highly rated. Part of the company, they have children that go here, and so they're very vested into our program, and want to see the great things happening. So I guess I just need, you know, do we start moving in that direction, or, you know, do we? Because there are a couple other things. I did afterwards meet with Hilda and kind of talk through some of the things. Some things she brought up is, well, we would need to add on to our playground or make an additional playground. So that is something that we'll have to add in some cost because of the square footage of the current playground and the number of kids. You know, I don't know if we talked about, could we add on out there, but the sidewalk is there. So that kind of limits a little bit.
Is a playground a requirement for
3 and 4-year-olds?
Yeah.
They have to have outside play.
But it has to be like not just outside space. It has to be like with specific equipment.
No, I think it's,
I mean, we have land upon land.
Right. So no, I don't think it has to be specific equipment. Of course, we want things for them to do, you know, the fine motor,
Yeah.
the large motor, those kind of things. But I think it's the actual space of having that many kids big enough, you know, but they have to be fenced in. So you know,
Okay.
of course, they have to have, you know, the 4 fences, locks, those kind of things on that. So we did talk a little bit about, you know, probably the best space would be behind the NPR, but then I would want to see how wet that's going to get. Like, I don't know if that stays wet or not. So those are things that we will just have to think through cost wise of what that would look like. The other thing cost wise, as and I didn't even think about it till afterwards, was if we're going to put the cafeteria or the lunchroom in the NPR, we do have to meet some of those standards. So we have to get hot water there. So we'll have to have that ran. So there'll be some cost.
They don't have it coming out of the bathrooms. We don't have hot water in the bathrooms.
Mm.
Really?
So we'll just have to get, you know, and I'll reach out to this company to say, hey, can you come back and tell us what it would cost for that as
Right,
well?
we're gonna have to add a tank. Yeah.
Um,
Some sort.
so we'll have to put in a sink, of course, there, as well to meet the requirements for food program. So it's just, you know, that hit me afterwards. I'm like, why did we not?
Do they have to have hot water available for the food to heat? Do they have to have running hot water?
I think they have to have running hot water.
Okay, like
Yeah.
you can't just heat up a kettle or
No.
heat up like hot water,
Mhm.
right? Like,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. And they have been in inspecting because I just read an email that Brittany had sent. So at the high school, we passed, but they did have some violations that we needed to fix, like hair nets, or your hair has to be pulled back, the cleaning stations, those kind of things. So there's some things that she had sent to Jared to work on there. So they are coming in and inspecting those kind of things as well.
Okay.
So that is going to be a cost too that I didn't think about at first, and then as I was going through the process for that.
So you're probably looking at an additional 20K
Right.
to add a playground plus a water heater
Mhm.
situation.
That's
And-
what I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm gonna worst case it and say 75 for this, just worst case,
Right.
and then
So 100
Yeah.
grand. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
So it's just something that, you know, to think through. So we can,
Okay.
And that fits in, we're gonna use the money left over from the soccer field for this.
yeah, the construction money, and we have, if all of the reporting is, like, we don't get any more invoices in,
Okay,
we have right at 100, maybe a little bit over.
okay.
Again, that is if nothing else, because we just get some surprises, and so that's about what we would have. Now, we wanted to look at, in the past, putting in sinks and stuff like that for the high school, for the science rooms.
Right.
So this would probably take the majority of that money.
Yeah.
We won't be able to do that.
And did you say there was no additional cost to move the rooms we need to move upstairs?
Yeah,
Like,
there
there's
should
no
not be
additional work
additional,
that needs to be done
no,
upstairs.
no.
And which rooms would that be?
It'll be the 4 middle school rooms that'll be open.
And we're-
Oh, for the
which-
renovation, I'm sorry.
And which ones would we be moving?
We would be the business office,
Mhm.
the music room, and possibly the art room.
Okay.
So,
That's the 2 and then the 3. possibly.
yeah, that would allow
Mhm.
20 students in there.
No, and, I mean, we have to look at it from a financial standpoint at some of this piece too, right? Like, so to meet the FTE that we really need to eat and to meet,
Mhm.
right? We've got to have that space for those students who are currently in the multi-purpose room
Mhm.
here. We
Mhm.
don't want them to stay there. We need to have a space for them. So that way we can move them here and that would
Mhm.
provide them a space in the fall. And then our FTE is staying the same
Right,
with the 2 rooms.
with the 2.
If we add the 3rd room, then we're increasing our FTE,
Right,
correct?
well, we'll increase probably not our FTE, but our paid students from CASA.
Oh, right.
Because when we look at the numbers, you'll see you don't want to raise your kindergarten too much,
Mhm.
because then you're gonna have to have that gradual fade over, and
Right.
that's such a big, if you go more than 96 kindergartners, then you're starting to, so you really are gonna make it up, even though that'll be a multi-age classroom.
I got you.
We'll just pull some kindergartners
yeah.
from the other rooms to put in there.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
you're really making it through your tuition base.
Okay. Well, that's
Yeah.
better.
Yeah, right.
Way better.
So,
And then we'll talk about this, I'm sure, in a little bit when we look at the numbers. And we can do that later if you wanted to look at like what that would be with those 2 rooms
mhm.
and then the feed forward,
Right,
right?
right.
So
Yeah, so we can look at it. So just if you want to think through that, and then we can,
we'll hit it again.
Yeah.
That works.
moving on, the move from ADP. So we've downloaded, the majority of the information out of ADP. We will have access to that for a year, but it's something to ensuring that the staff downloads what they need, but they'll also have access, limited access. So far, it's ran pretty smooth with the insurance company, the switching over. I know we're still waiting on, like, Alicia just sent an email today, the cards, that number, ADP hasn't been playing nice, a whole lot. So they're really, oh, well, we can do that for you for an extra fee. And, oh, if you shut down on the 1st, you're actually shutting down on the 24th. So think we'll get there by the end of the month. We'll be, hopefully everybody will have their insurance cards, everything will run smoothly. I am gonna set up a meeting where all of the agencies come together because it's getting to be a little overwhelming. I talked to Alicia today, and we have all of these emails coming at us of all the different components, and we're not sure what are we supposed to be distributing, what are we supposed to be just as the administrators on. So I really think I need to get them all on the same call to say, okay, listen, you're overwhelming us at this point. Like, we don't even know what way to move. So that, but overall, for the most part, I'm, pretty impressed with the way it's going, but there's been some bumps, but nothing like I thought it would be. Solar update. So when I had wrote the original update, they were coming out on Friday, so this past Friday, to look at it. They did talk about that it's been off for over a year now, the solars, maybe longer. So he did, and I put his little blurb in there. He responded to what was actually wrong, and I guess there's several things. that you can read there, but it's been shut down due to an ARC fault code. Long story short, they're coming back. It looks like it's the first time that it's been and worked since August of 2021. And so they had it back up and running, and then it threw another code, I guess, on Sunday. So they are getting an inverter through the warranty. And so I guess when that comes back, through all of this, they've been working with Tito. So they're going to also teach him how to just ensure things are up and running for that.
Do we have an app that we're monitoring this on? So like, I know like our house, I
Mhm.
have solar app, right? So I
Yep.
can see when it's taking stuff in, when it's not, when it's down.
We
you know.
should have a way to.
Yeah, I
for
don't
that
have,
on an ongoing basis.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like,
Because we have the same thing. and
Yeah.
We know
Mhm.
if there's even
Yeah.
one panel not
right,
functioning.
it should tell you all of
Yeah.
that
Get an alert.
detail, yeah.
So I will ask to see about that, because he said that that's what he also does, is monitor it, and he can tell us like when one isn't working and those kind of things, but I'll see if there's something we can do.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, even if we're just putting it on a weekly checklist for Tito,
Yeah.
you know, every Thursday at 2, check the app and let's see if we're up and running this week. Take 5 seconds, you're good.
Yeah.
If not, then we're calling somebody,
Right.
right? So.
Right.
And how long is our warranty active for?
He thought he was researching because he's new as well. Like he took over for, I guess, somebody previously. He said some are 10 and some are 25. So,
Regardless, we're within.
yeah, we're within
We
that
have some
time.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's still pretty spendy to have them to come out. So
Yeah.
the bill for Friday was like $886. But we have to have it, like, it's just sitting there. So, so hopefully we'll get it all back up. He said he would send out, once they got that inverter in, then they would send out another tech. And then kind of keep going to see.
The other piece that you want to ask them about is even though if the connection is lost and it's not collecting the data of
Mhm.
what's being in there, the panels themselves should still be collecting this energy. So, in this situation where that maybe that one piece is out this week,
Mhm.
the panel should still be collecting the energy and
Mhm.
storing or, you know, transferring it to Duke. So that would be where we would make sure that even though it was not turned on,
Mhm.
that energy was still being counted towards our electricity bill.
Right.
So that would be the one other question I'd say
Okay.
you want to ask is, even though it was not running and the Wi-Fi connection was not up and it wasn't collecting, it should have still been working.
Right.
So,
Okay. Yeah, and I don't think it was, because Lily called Duke and they weren't even sure. They were like, oh yeah, you have a discount on there. But then when we started looking at when it was working, came
Yeah.
out, the bills are not even close.
Yeah.
So I would say it wasn't, but I'll ask him to see.
yeah.
It should tell you on the Duke bill, like what the
Mhm.
breakdown is of like what's been generated, like what was used, what was generated. That's, I look at that on mine just to kind of see how my panels are doing,
Mhm.
making sure that they're fairly consistent, year over year.
Yeah.
Um,
You're getting you're getting that like an electronic information. You're not getting a paper copy every month where you're
Right.
seeing it, and that's probably why it's like not in a.
Yeah, it's not on
Nobody's
there.
checking it. That's why
Right.
nobody's checked it for so
Right.
long, right?
Yeah. So that's kind of, go ahead.
But when it is working again, I mean, that's good news, like we're gonna have a substantial, sounds like we're having
Right.
substantial savings. there.
Yeah.
It should at least pay for itself.
Yeah.
You know what I
Mhm.
mean? The $1,600 that we're paying each month for it, it should at least pay for itself. I know it's only on the NPR and the primary building, but should still be a cost
Mhm.
savings.
Yeah, I was gonna say this is all the panels, right? I don't know if we ever looked at that flower thing.
Well,
Is that
he was supposed
included?
to be working on that as
Okay.
well, because I told him the flower has not worked.
Okay, so that would be
Yeah.
included in what they're looking at. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, those are good questions. I have his contact, so I'll reach back out, with him. The soccer field. So I just randomly received a bill for $6,300 to replace a water pump. I don't know if you've seen the soccer field, but it does not look the best. Tito had told me that the irrigation was messed up yet again. And so then I get this bill for $6,300 that was forwarded from W&J that said, oh, since it was a lightning strike, we don't cover that under your warranty. And so then my response is, well, prove that it was a lightning strike. So this is I just got it today. I put the photo in there of him saying that the blurring on the bottom of the motor is what shows that lightning passed through. So, Kevin, this is where
We Googled their justification.
I know.
Somebody type that into Gemini or something real quick and
I
just
know,
confirm that that's
it's like really it.
Mm.
like,
You know, because this is the second time that it's
The
messed up.
bluing. Okay.
the
Yeah.
rainbow piece.
Mhm.
that you're
Yeah.
saying. Mm.
So how do we prove that that's lightning or not? Or can
Did
we?
they already replace it, or is this a bill that they're?
It's
charging
not
us ahead of
working
time?
right now. It's currently not working. and The
Yeah.
grass is dying.
So they're bringing us in advance, or they're asking us to pay in advance? Or
Well,
this is before?
so that was my other question. Have you replaced it or is that what you're telling me that and so they have not responded back?
I don't think we authorized them to spend $6,300 of our dollars.
No.
No, like.
Well,
when-
this is the
And if
second
it's-
time we've had this on the same pump.
And if it's not under warranty, then we can get a quote from somebody else that's not $6,300.
Yeah, they're saying that lightning is not covered under the warranty.
See the flip flop there, it's not very big. Since it's bluing.
Where is this at? Like, where are they taking this picture?
I
at?
don't know.
Like, is this
That's a-
even our like pipe,
Like
or
a-
is this
so
just
this-
some random pipe that they've like found that does this?
This was the
and-
email and he was like, I can give you meter
Did you
readings. to
see
compare-
me on that?
There's a lot of boots and shoes, where is that?
No,
Yeah.
I will though.
Yeah, forward that.
Do we have a shed where we keep boots?
No,
Would that be covered by any kind of insurance? I mean, that's it.
yeah,
Yeah, that would be the next kind of.
yeah,
Mhm.
so,
Probably would be. Heather, do you want to call me tomorrow with this one?
yes, I will.
The other piece of that we need to think about is, I think this is the second time that lightning has struck this well pump and when it's went out, correct? Huh? Allegedly. Yes, thank you for adding in the legal speak. Right? Is that,
Uh-huh.
I'm correct on that, right?
Yeah, well, the first time they didn't call it lightning. I think they just said, there were melted wires.
Yes,
And so they came out and fixed it.
right. And the wires are melted again from the inside. So there
Yeah.
is not, I think that there's some sort of
Mhm.
malfunction within the system that's causing it to do this and,
Right.
versus them not getting anything out of it and having to replace or fix the system there.
That's what I think,
I think that there's negligence.
but I'll call you
Do that
tomorrow
when you're
for
ready.
that. Yeah. And I just sent that to you.
Yeah.
And speaking of lightning, I just thought about this. Stephen, met with me, a week or so ago. So the elevator, the panel went out again, and that's a $10,000 panel. But, and I think he's on here so he can pipe in. They couldn't say that the panel, it wasn't because the panel wasn't bad, so they went ahead and under warranty fixed it, but they talked about how we really need to get a surge protector running from our main panel before it gets to the elevator panel. And so that's something that it would have to be an electrician, because in my mind, we'll just get a surge protector, but Stephen informed me there was so much more than just a regular surge protector. So that is something too that I may ask the company when they come in, if they do any work here, is how much would it cost electrician wise to put a surge protector on that.
Yeah.
But we did get lucky. The elevating company is replacing that for free. But it
Okay.
is $10,000.
Yeah, we don't want that to happen
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
No.
So I will add that in on our
Mhm.
thing. To good news. So we had,
Unexpected.
yeah, I know. Under our big rocks, one of the things was communication, and we did have our first two parent nights,
Mhm.
on the 5th and 6th. The first night we had probably right under 100 people, but the second night I counted, we had 204 to come, and it was really well attended, lots of great questions. Jared and his team did a wonderful job presenting just some of the basics to the parents and the community. And so the next steps will be, actually, our student ambassadors are so excited to start doing some tours and those
Aw.
sorts of things. So I'll let Jared, when he goes to present what's going on at the high school, kind of share a little bit
Mhm.
more of that.
And what are we calling this? Or I know, or we're trying to move away from middle school, right? So we're
Mhm.
saying like
Junior high.
secondary merge.
Yeah.
What are we
So we're
calling
calling
this?
it over there secondary 1 and 2.
Mm.
Uh-huh,
To
right.
ensure the planes
Right.
of development, in that way. But I think probably I don't think the community outside of parents would know what that means. So I think we talked about calling it junior and senior high.
Right.
And so, but within our parent community is like, hey, your kid's in secondary 1, 7th, 8th, 9th, secondary 2,
Mhm.
10 through 12. But I
For
think
whatever it's worth, I know when I was first looking at Montessori, I was kind of fascinated by upper schools and lower schools and one of those terms that set it apart. And while I know that there are times we're gonna have to call it the high school, calling it secondary 1 and 2 in the public might have some.
Wait.
to it.
Yeah, there's something
Yeah.
cool
Yeah.
about that. Well, what is
Yeah.
that? Well, that's the planes of development for the older kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're not the kind of person that cares about us, we're probably not cares about that stuff. We're not the school
Right.
for you.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Right.
that's true.
That's a good
Um,
point.
So I
Okay.
mean, jerseys and stuff, like I said, we're still gonna keep high school on it.
Mhm.
But he did talk to the parents about athletics and their opportunity to play up on JV and varsity and those kind of things. But yeah, to the community, like our parent community, we were saying secondary 1 and 2.
Mhm.
So, then the next thing is the enrollment. So I took what I shared with you all back in January and uploaded that and kind of played with some numbers. And so, again, these are going to be goals, and I talked to Kathy and Jared both about this to say, really what I want to get away from is chasing numbers. I feel like just looking through everything in the past, it's always, and I get it because of finances, we need it to do that, but do we have something for some stability? So this was kind of one of the things that we, when I looked through what the cap was, what our classroom sizes were for primary, you'll see, just like I shared before, our current numbers, what our projected was in the 23-24. And so it says at the bottom, middle school moves 24-25. That is what was projected for this year. And then you'll see this was as of December 31st, the end of the year. We just went through our FT. When we get those numbers, we'll be able to place those in there. So we were 4 students shy as of December 31st of our goal. And then those numbers that say 18, that's just cap size. That was more for me to kind of know what each grade level cap should be. And then the middle column, that is what we could potentially make our projections be for next year. And so that would put, that is including the 20 additional students if we open that third classroom. So that does have that in there. So that's why, the numbers look so high for pre-K 3 and 4. But Hilda actually shared with me, we are pretty close to numbers already for the entire primary program, but this was just the overall numbers of what we needed. The red, of course, is those kiddos moving down, just the way the numbers work out. But you can kind of see overall we would increase by 64 kids, but again, the majority of that's coming from primary. So we're really, the goal is not to be adding kids as they get older. We want to start, and work our way down that way. It would put our cap at the high school for next year at 360, even though we are understanding that's probably not going to be where we're at. We're probably going to be, we're supposed to project it to be 373 is what our current student population is. But Jared just talked to me this morning about, they did that scheduling, and I think he said there was 27 that indicated they would probably not return.
Okay.
So it will be around probably 355, 350, which is okay. So we can still sustain. My biggest thing is, again, is knowing what is that per pupil for that bond. So that's
Mhm.
kind of where we're at. And then, oh, go ahead.
Did you ever hear back from the fire?
I have not. I've left him another message, but I really believe I'm going on with, there's no way that they can say that it could have been an elementary of 550 kids,
Yeah.
but now we can only have
Yeah.
348. And then there was some numbers that I found that was less than that, less than 300.
Mhm.
That said it was on there. So
100% certain that that was just what we were looking at when we were writing it to give us a guidance. And
Yeah.
we're like, oh, well, that's a good number.
right.
And it was like our plan number, but it was
Mhm.
never
Mhm.
like a mandated number that we
No.
were following or
Not-
any
not
sort of
five.
fire code, anything like that. We knew that we were well under it.
Mhm.
And we were just considering the space and considering staff, I think, too. And so that's what we were putting that in there as.
Right. So I really don't think, and so unless they come back and tell me something completely different, we've looked at those classrooms. Jared's done an excellent job already looking at tentative. It would keep our class sizes still honestly rather small for a high school, as
Mhm.
far as the 9th through 12th can have 25 kids in per classroom, and they would not actually, the 10th through 12th would have 20 some kid, like
Yeah.
20 point something kids, 21 at the max. And then that secondary one would be like 22 to 23 kids. So it's definitely lower than what even the state mandate is
Mhm.
at keeping it at that.
Mhm.
So that's just kind of the numbers of what we said. Again, I'll have more once we get our FTE count to know where we're actually gonna end the year with. But I feel pretty solid that, again, we're not chasing
Yeah.
as they get older. And then I went ahead and projected the next year, and that again is just looking at not having such a decrease in all of those lower L, upper L, and then that switch over to secondary one. And so that would put our cap at 390 at the high school. And honestly, that's probably where I think would be a good number for us. We could go, we said 408, but it's okay if we don't. What I talked to the principals about was to say, this may be our goal for 25, 26, but again, we're going to write our budget based off of where we ended. So we're not going to write our budget off of what we hope to have.
Right.
I can always add. So at the end of 24, 25, whatever our student enrollment is for that, that's what our budget is going to be written off of. And then with the goal of recruiting, again, it's more about retaining the current kids that we have than recruiting at this point, is showing them what we have to offer and keeping them in through up the grade levels.
Yeah, it seems like that's sort of the shift of the goal is to move towards retaining
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
continuity between the secondary one and the secondary two. And I, even just going through the presentation, being part of that, I can start to visualize
Mhm.
those things that are going to become probably clearer to parents in
Mhm.
parents' minds about why it makes sense to go ahead now that
Mhm.
we're already kind of integrated, to go ahead and stay.
Yeah.
Right. And there's benefits and there's
Mhm.
continuity there. So,
Mhm.
Yeah.
maybe we
yeah.
can just continue to think about how we play that up,
Right.
and continue to market that.
Mhm.
Because I think that's a good point to make, is that we're focusing on retention of those older
Mhm.
students, not recruitment of new students.
Right.
So,
Right.
Yeah. And that's something Jared and I talked about, is the second night, a lot of questions around, honestly, like the rate of graduation, the number of students got accepted into college. And as Cindy is rattling all this stuff off, I'm like, why do we not have this in a brochure?
Yeah.
100% of our students got into the college of their choice. You know what I
Mhm,
mean? And
mhm.
nobody else, like, there's not very many other schools that can say that.
Right.
And and if they didn't go to college, here's what they did, and so that was something on that second night I wanted to make clear to our parents, is we're not just going to be a go to college school. We're going to be, you have a plan, whether that's a career or college.
Mhm.
And so I talked to him about, let's get those facts down and create a marketing piece around that. So that people see what our secondary program has to offer that is different than a typical high school. And that there, some of the questions was around athletics. Well, if we don't offer it, you are allowed to go. And so I think that, some people want to go for athletics, and so that they're allowed to go play somewhere else if we don't offer it, and those kind of things. So put that in there so parents are aware of what we have to offer.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So I think it makes sense that we're focused on decreasing that attrition that's, I guess, been happening, but I think there's probably part of it that's gonna naturally happen even if we try. So I'm just wondering if like that's already considered in,
Yeah.
like some kind of attrition.
Right. So yes, if you'll look at the second year, you'll see there's some natural attrition built in that red already. And we know that we can play. So our goal isn't to lose 6 kindergartners going from kindergarten to first grade. But if we had to lose some in second or third, we can place, because we do that 3-year span. So yes, we can do that. And the same thing with that upper L. We know that attrition is going to be there. So that's why those numbers really didn't stay the same. They're decreased a little bit. Now, with that said, that doesn't mean like if we needed 2 students in second grade, that if we had them on the wait list, we could add those 2. So yes, we know that. It's just that I'm trying to get away from doing that in a middle school.
Yeah.
That secondary one plane of we add a bunch of kids there,
Okay.
and it is a little easier. I mean, that's not what we want, but it is like right now to add a kid into our current high school is a little easier because it's a whole nother ball game as far as credits and those kind of things. But they still do struggle with that, like knowing the Montessori way of things. But when you do that to a middle school, like that, there's a whole another ball game with middle school age kids already, and then to add our expectations. So my goal would be to be looking at that, adding if we had to in the lower L, and then worry about that natural attrition in the upper L as we get into secondary 1. But again, I just want to go back to that. I want to write the budget off of what we currently end the year with,
So admin, you guys are feeling comfortable then with the idea of transitioning in the fall and with moving NPR into the classrooms here, opening up NPR for the lunchroom, right? Like you're feeling confident with that plan overall, as that's what everything's looking like.
Yeah, I think so. Like I said, I met with Kathy and Jared. We kind of talked through these things. We're really looking at everything at this point. Knowing that we're not gonna have all the answers, but even timelines, like, the potential of, I've talked to you, Stacy, about adding another custodian, at the high school level for twofold. One, it's a lot there. We're gonna have more kids, but then also that transition this summer. We've got to move technology over, but furniture and all of that kind of stuff. And we've got to line that up all while we will have construction here. And then we also have the World Peace Games going on this summer and summer camp. So, so it is definitely going to be a balancing act, but trying to get all of that front loaded. So it's not, but talking to the companies, both companies would say we have to get moving if we're going to do the potential construction because permitting is taking so long. So their plan was if we could start rolling on it now, then they should have all the permits by May, and then to look at the summer construction.
Are you still considering the third room and the extra 20 kids, or is that?
Yeah, so we asked them to do 2 different ways on their costs, one for just the 2 rooms and then one for that third room, because we would have to add a restroom in there. And the hard part about that one is there's not a tie-in. So like in the music room, there's that outside restroom between the music room and the business office. So you could tie in there. But in that art room, there's not really a tie-in anywhere. So that's going to be a little bit trickier. So what I'd like to see is the cost compared to how long would it take us to make our money back on that.
So that's TBD.
Yeah.
Have we done that with the first 2 rooms, that break-even analysis, how long it takes with those new tuition dollars to pay back the improvement costs? I think
Not
it's pretty
yet.
quick, right?
Yeah, it's pretty quick, cause we're already getting that money now,
it in
so,
contingency,
yeah, and
yeah.
I have the contingency, but yes.
We're getting that money now, but in a way that's, we can't keep doing.
Right.
Yeah, so I do think no
But
matter what,
adding
we have to do
40.
something with those 2 kids.
And I guess adding the 20, I mean, we lose an art room, right?
Mhm.
So it's not costless to us.
Right.
So I guess I'm interested to know financially,
Mhm.
if it's a wash, maybe I'd rather have an art room.
Right,
Right.
absolutely, and that's what I want us to look
Mhm.
at, like, I don't wanna add it just because of the sake of saying, oh, we said we are gonna add 20 kids. I really want it to be cost effective
Mhm.
and manageable for the staff. That's the
Right.
other thing is, we are gonna have to hire 2 teachers because you will have kindergarten and 3 and 4-year-olds in there. But you don't wanna have just 3 and 4-year-olds because then you're losing your Montessori, way. So then you are gonna have to hire 2 certified staff. So looking at that cost too, is that gonna be cost effective in addition to renovation?
You gotta do the whole set of all the prepared materials and works for
Yep.
a small group of kids.
Absolutely, so.
And then a
yeah.
bigger playground you have to add.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Right. So, and then we also have to figure out like even the logistics of parent pickup and drop off. That was something I talked to Hilda about. Like now they're walking from the NPR over, is how do we do that? Like what, if it's raining, what does that look like? It's going to be farther. And anybody that's worked with 3 and 4-year-olds know it's like herding cats. So you're like, come on, let's go.
And even that drop off has gotten, I mean, we changed the way we were doing it with
Right.
parents walking over now.
Yeah,
And then we got, 13 parking spots for
right.
120 families.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I can confirm that pre-Kers cannot undo their own seatbelts.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So there's a whole logistics for that too, that has to be worked through of what does that look like?
Well, we do have 2 drive lines now though.
Mhm.
So we do have an option of like, you could do a designated time or a designated location pickup, right? Like,
Right.
so.
Yeah.
That,
Yeah.
There's an option.
the most expensive
Yeah.
drive line that we've ever put in our life does open it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does help.
Maximize
Another
the
option.
drive through, you
Yeah.
just would really need, you would need that hands-on help,
Yeah.
either you'd have to give parents time to get in and out, or you'd have to have teachers helping them out.
Yeah.
Well,
I
and
mean, it-
legally, we can't put them in the car.
Okay, yes.
So legally, we're not allowed to put them in and buckle them up.
Okay.
Mhm.
So the parent has to get out and do that. So those are some things, if you
Yeah.
look at those 3 and 4-year-old regulations, is that we have to keep. So they have to park
Yeah.
and put them in themselves. And
Mhm.
so they're, and sign them out. So that is a place where, logistically, we have to work through that.
Maybe even an awning on the other side of the building over
Mhm.
there. And so one lane is just designated for those pre-K kiddos.
Mhm.
And then the other ones could still continue through or something,
Right.
right? Like, so that you're
Yeah.
not stopped, so they could park there, have that whole straightaway for those small classes,
Mhm.
right? Just them coming in there, that spot. If you have like we adding an awning on the other side of Tesla or something,
Mhm.
right? Then you have that space and then the other ones just pick up in the
Come
normal
through.
way. And so
Right.
then you're limiting how many kids you're putting over in that little space too, and how many
Mhm.
parents, right? You would divide it up.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so those are all
Doable.
things we'll
Yeah,
we'll
it's
have to
doable.
work
I
through.
think we trust Evan to figure it out, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd be willing to throw a little bit of resources in that.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so when we get to that part, I'll be hitting you all up.
Yeah.
And Hilda and Kiana are great too, and Heather about, Higgins about, working through some of those things too,
Mhm.
so.
Yeah.
Do we think that in 5 years, 10 years, primary will still be split between 2 buildings, or is there so this has all moved pretty fast. We've had a lot of options on the table over the past few months of where to put people, build something, portables, whatever it might be. This is by far the most feasible I think we figured out.
Mhm.
Glad we're doing it this way,
Mhm.
but are we thinking this is permanent? I don't know that we've ever had that conversation.
Well, we can't look at any new construction really where we can't pay for it until we're clear of the bond piece, right? So.
And also drainage, Stacy.
Yes, yeah, we could potentially look at like an extension on top of primary, but it would require us to reconfigure our retention pond out there and increase it in size. And because we did look at that at the construction, one of the many, I don't even know, Kathy, right? Like how many drawings of architecture did we go through? But that would be a potential, would be adding on. But we'd have to wait till all of our stuff with the bond is clear and we could refinance.
Well,
Yeah, that would be the ideal.
I mean, I
Mhm.
think that your flush revenue is gonna be helped a lot by tuition dollars. It already has been this year.
Mhm.
And as long as you meet your debt coverage ratios, you can meet the additional bonds test and issue debt whenever you feel like it.
Right,
I don't wanna do that if it's gonna be a strain,
right,
but to the extent it's not, or to the extent that a construction project pays for itself and then some,
yeah,
because you get to pay these things off over a long period of time.
right,
And that refunding, you're not gonna refinance, it's oh, 10 years down the road,
yeah.
so it's not a bad.
I mean, that would be my ideal situation,
Oh,
would be
yeah.
to
I mean, that's-
extend the primary building and
that's what
have
I've
it
been
all over there.
Always thinking
Yeah,
is that
yeah.
you could replicate the existing primary
Yep.
building behind the primary building,
Mm-hmm,
move this stuff back. Now, I don't know that that really solves our pipeline to high school problems. So there's a whole lot to think about there.
right. But it just would give us more space over here to do more things and have more specials, right? Like it would free up and just make it a much
Right.
more more optioned program, right?
Yeah,
Like
I
a
didn't-
base room.
Right.
The teachers would love, I mean, like that's
Yeah.
probably if I asked a wish list, right? That would be like a top list of base room where I don't have to worry about kids coming in and messing with my preparation for the next day.
Yeah.
For sure.
You know?
have their own environment.
Yes,
mean, they-
yeah, and they
they're
need, right,
so great.
it's a different environment, it's a different thing that they're doing, so, and that's something else that's gonna make us more revenue too, right? Like, so that would be,
That's right. And I've always thought there's a big demand for a tuition preschool. And for better or worse, there's a ton of natural attrition after preschool out of a Montessori program.
yeah,
Base is revenue generating. I'm not sure that it's not more feasible than we're
Mhm.
thinking it is. The only reason I ask that now is to just throw the thought out, does that affect at all
Mhm.
the degree to which we construct things or
Yeah.
the quality with which we construct things? Is it
Yeah.
intended to have a level of permanence or is
mhm,
it not?
Yeah, but, I mean, because we're gonna throw like about $100,000 towards this, you know what I mean? And, you know, so that is something we have to think through. And I know, just talking to the, you know, primary staff, mostly Hilda, they just, like, they feel so disconnected already.
mhm,
So like, they're not part of all of the programming and so it's, I mean, we're making the best of it and they're doing a great job, but they
mhm.
haven't formed those relationships with the other staff and those kind of things. So to be honest, this was not Hilda's first choice at all. Like she was
Mhm,
really bummed that we were putting them over here. And then we get into the base and DCF licensing, because if we had more 3 and 4-year-olds over here, and then we would have to get everybody over here a special
mhm.
fingerprinting background check because they can't be around the kids. So then we have to work out the base over there. So it is logistically going to be harder, but I don't know of any other way to solve the NPR problem to get the revenue to build on to the back of.
Right,
It's like an interim step.
yeah.
Yeah, it's just an expensive one.
But I do think if you build it, they would come
Yeah.
and you can run the numbers and see what the tuition would be. It
Mhm.
justified the campus we have now. Why wouldn't it justify
Mhm.
scaling it up?
Yeah.
Pro rata. And base can be very, I mean, base is a big deficiency for us. We do not have a available aftercare program.
Right.
People are willing to pay triple what they're paying if there was just space available.
Mhm.
I think
Yeah.
that's an easy revenue source.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
So it's not a good time to go borrow money, but in a couple of years it might be.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, definitely in a couple of years, I think that is something that
Mhm.
we need to think through. Because like I said, I have been working with Courtney. I do want our base program to expand next year. But, you know, we need the NPR room back and those kind of things to alleviate some of that. But I think our demand is there, so I don't know why we can't have.
Well, in a couple of years, you could take those nice new rooms with the bathrooms and turn them into base rooms.
You could,
Mhm.
Specials /
Yeah.
base.
Mhm.
Right.
like
I
that.
mean, you're not like making the room 3-year-old height, you know, you can
Right.
still use it for
Yeah.
big people.
Mhm.
Toilets maybe.
The toilets are gonna probably be
Bigger
little. Gonna be little toilets, so.
Mhm.
So that's kind of the numbers. Again, so once we are okay with this, then my next steps up. well, I'll talk about that in the finance meeting. But go
So
ahead.
do we need to vote?
I was just
on
thinking
anything?
about that. I don't think that requires a vote because we're still looking at, I mean, that the only vote that would come in there is the budgeting vote. So when we get a new budget, we'll,
Mhm.
we'll approve the
We
new
would vote
budget.
on it associated with the budget.
Yeah, I
Which would be
mean,
based on the end of the year anyway, because you're just
Yeah.
giving us numbers
Yeah,
here.
so, well, what I'll do is
Estimate.
base it off of our FT when we get that back.
Okay, yeah.
And so I'll talk a little bit about that in the finance part, but
Yeah.
yeah, I will.
and we don't even have like contracts coming towards us for construction yet. So like
Right.
if we were,
Mhm, mhm.
once we get a contract per se for the
Mhm.
construction, we have that cost, then I think that's when the vote would come in. Yes,
Mhm.
let's go ahead and let's move this
Right,
forward.
then it seems
Or
like there's
let's,
a vote
let's
needed, right?
stop. Yeah,
Yeah.
let's leave it in a PR or something. And when we get that, for another year, you know, so I think that we don't have a vote there until that comes.
Okay,
piece, that
yeah,
comes
And that's
back.
lower than the enrollment number in our chart.
Exactly.
What's the timeline for needing to do that to be able to get the permitting to? have
So
it
I
done
was
in
gonna talk about
summertime?
that, to go ahead, the first thing that they need, if this is the route that we would like to go, is they would need the fee, I was looking here to see what it is. Oh, I lost it. I've got so many emails. Oh.
$850.
Yeah, it was 800
$850.
Yeah,
Okay.
there you go. Look at you. I think that is what it was. $850 to do the
Drawing.
first drawing
Mhm.
of it. And then they respond. So when I talked to them about the estimate, they just said personally project 45 to 75, depending on a lot of variables. But unfortunately, until we have at least the planned space study, we can't give you that ballpark estimation yet.
Yeah.
And then the budget estimation for the permit drawings that include the MEP, so the mechanical, electrical, and plumbing. For that part of it is $4,995. So if we want to move on with those two, then I will go ahead and let them know that. And then I think once we have that, that's when they'll start getting into the actual cost of everything.
Yeah.
The one thing that we're missing, I went through all of the old files for the ACAD files.
Mhm.
There is a sheet that has been eliminated. So out of all of them, it's called T002 code review. So they just said that we'll have to reach out.
The city should have it.
Yeah, and so that's what I figured we'll reach out, but so the first is this space and study design, and then they'll start doing the drawings from there. This phase two.
Yeah. I don't think we need to have a vote to move admin to just
To do that initial couple
investigate
steps.
and move forward. Yeah. Mhm.
Get plans generated.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
Yeah.
It's in your spending threshold.
Yeah.
right, that's
Okay.
within the threshold.
and then I think I can reimburse for that through our construction money, I think.
Mhm.
So I'll just ask for that back, so. Okay, so now I'm gonna turn it over to Kathy or Jared to let them talk about their school.
Okay, everything's going great. Someone's special dance at the weekend was absolutely wonderful. So I know I'm not going to steal Sarah's thunder, but I just want to say, like, the idea of the theme was absolutely incredible, and the degree to which people got involved with the theme was absolutely stunning. We had matching parent-child costumes, and everyone went all out, loads of pearls and feathers, and it was amazing. So thank you so much to the volunteers and PTO for organizing and everyone who attended. I know in typical IMO fashion, everyone waited right till the very last minute to buy their tickets. So we were a little terrified that it was going to be poorly attended, but pulled up and saw the parking lot full and filled again for Upper L, and it was just amazing. Wondrous Wednesday, Upper L had their first Wondrous Wednesday in quite a while on January 24th, and thanks to the parents who came and held workshops with the children. They had a huge selection of workshops for the children to participate in. The APs, Eileen and Leanna and Nicole, will be talking about that a little more in their presentation. Kamani Jackson, Upper L teacher, gave a parent ed last week, featuring information on practical life at the upper elementary level. Didn't have a great turnout. I think we had about 10 parents, but can I tell you, it was amazing. Kamani did a fantastic job, and everyone who was there, you know, afterwards just said how useful it was and how there was so much practical stuff for them to apply at home straight away. So thanks to Kamani for that. I think Julie Johnson will have one coming up shortly. Middle school work of the hand sale for Valentine's was massively well supported. We had one little child, adorable lower L child, come up to me and said, I need to call my dad. I left my something in the car, and it turns out she left her dollars in the car. Her father did not know anything about it, but she was having us call him back so he could furbish her with dollars for shopping. It was hilarious. But thanks to everyone who supported that. And so that was wonderful. And then our sad news was that, of course, Dr. Michael Dorer died recently. He was someone who was very, very helpful to us in the development of our instructional model. Came when we moved into our new Lakewood campus. First, worked with our teachers, held workshops, held parent education, and just someone who I think for as long as we continue to exist, we will continue to benefit from Michael Dorer's input in our programs. So a great loss to the Montessori community. And that is all I have for you.
Thank you, Kathy.
All right, I guess I'm up. So Heather already mentioned some of the things that I was going to talk about, so I was able to jot down a few additional notes. We do have an event planning committee that is working on a secondary family night, tentatively scheduled for March 8th. That would be an opportunity for all of our current high school students and then all of our new students that would be coming next year to kind of mingle, and there will be some events planned for that night as well. It's all still kind of up in the air, but I thought that was a great idea to kind of get people together and continue to kind of keep that level of excitement high for moving into next year. In about 2 weeks, I got to confirm with our ambassadors, but in about 2 weeks, we'll be ready to start our tours back up again for our high school campus. And so looking forward to seeing them kind of taking those groups around again. We have our community day for February tomorrow, coincides with Valentine's Day. In the morning, we'll do some mental health lessons. These are led by our social workers. And then we'll have our community day in the afternoon after lunch. One of our seniors is hosting a soccer mini camp. It's part of his capstone project for incubator. And that camp sold out in less than 6 hours. That was posted earlier today. It's targeting 1st through 5th graders. And so I think because of the high interest of that, we will be looking to offer lots of other opportunities for our younger students to kind of get a chance to work with some of our older students and have some fun learning some skills. So well, I was really excited about that and super excited for our student who's going to be able to now have 24 1st through 5th graders to work with for the next
Go then.
well, few Mondays and Tuesdays when those are scheduled. We have a training tomorrow with our secondary staff with Jill Schaefer. She's going to be doing a PD on best practices for supporting neurodiverse students with a focus on ADHD and ASD. That was one of the things that our teachers had placed as kind of a high priority. I think just the nature of our school and our kind of inclusive approach tends to welcome and attract families with students that have neurodiversities. And so our teachers are asking for support in how to best help those students find success in our model. So that was kind of number one on the list when we polled the teachers of what are some professional developments that you would like to see. And so that'll be happening tomorrow. And then we'll see how that goes, and we'll see if there needs to be some follow-up. But we're thankful for Jill and what she's meant to our community for such a long time. And I know the staff is really looking forward to this training tomorrow. And next Thursday through Saturday, our junior thespian, so that's our middle school thespian troupe, is going to be competing at the state competition. So we're excited to have our school represented. I think this may be, I'd have to have Lily Hastings confirm, but I think this may be the first time or the first time in a long time that we've had our group go to the state competition. We always go to the district competition, but it's that next level to go to the state competition. So pretty cool that we were able to have the students make it that far, I guess, because there's some eligibility requirements and things that need to be met in order to be able to perform at the state level. So that's pretty cool. Let's see, do I have anything else? I was really pleased in seeing the course requests come in. We had asked on the course request for students to identify whether they were returning or not planning to return. It was interesting. Some students had identified that they were planning on not returning. And so I had Cindy send something out, basically say, hey, on your form it indicated, please let us know, can confirm this, and then we'll get started with just kind of future planning. And we had quite a few who were like, no, we're not really planning on leaving. I'm not sure where the student got that idea. So so that 27 number that I had given to Heather is actually I just found that out like towards the end of the day today. So so I think, some students who hear their friends are gonna go somewhere else are like, oh, I'd like to go there too. So I think our retention is gonna be really good. That was mostly out of the students that we said, or that said they weren't returning, it was mostly our 8th graders. I think we have only one of our current high school students that has indicated that they're not returning, and very few of our rising 7th and 8th graders that have other plans for next year. So that's really encouraging. We know we have a little bit of attrition every year, and particularly the 8th to 9th grade. But I think we're in really good shape with regards to this plan to try to hold on to as many of our students as possible. Our teachers have certainly noticed a significant difference in what they're able to accomplish with students when they've come up through IMO from young all the way to adolescence. And so the more we can do that, I think the more successful our program is going to be all around. So that's all I got. Thanks.
Thanks, Sharon.
Good. And before we get into the upper L, one of the things I know you had mentioned about the school supply fee.
Oh, yes, thank you.
So Cindy sent that to me, and as of February the 10th, we had 559 students that were paid in full, 121 students that still have their second payment due, and then 250 that hasn't submitted any payment. So she indicated that she would send out more payment reminders yesterday. That's okay.
And my only thought was, is there anything we should be doing as a board?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just for kind of a final push, last call before the year slips away from us here,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, yeah, I mean, 250 times 100, that's
I mean,
that's
that's
a lot of money.
Yeah. So I mean, even if we were to send
That's a well.
personal email out, I mean, I'd be willing to just divide and conquer and send some personal emails. and
Yeah.
could script something up and just a personal plea,
Yeah.
to say, hey, we've got big plans for things that we'd like to do,
Right.
and this is money that we're in a deficit state,
Mhm.
significant deficit state. So
Yeah, I
Right.
agree.
we're asking as a board
Hi.
for your assistance.
How are we currently reaching out? Is it via email?
Yeah, and through Parent Square.
Cause you had mentioned it, I mean, maybe it's
Which
a different
are not always
mode.
checked.
Yeah,
Emails are like the worst
yeah,
communication
maybe
method
it's a
ever.
different mode that might get.
Yeah.
Cold call them.
more-
Yeah.
Well, you
It's a
mentioned
robocall.
a physical letter.
I think so. Well,
A physical
Yeah.
letter is actually pretty
You'll get 50 of
formal
them.
when you get it in
Yeah.
the mail.
I kind of like the physical letter because
Yeah.
it's like a, hey,
Yeah.
Okay.
you're being notified, like, I'm getting a letter.
I
in
just
the
think
mail.
people
never get
are
mail
like
from
checking
school.
email. It
Right.
just, it fills
Yeah.
up your spam box
It does.
and
It goes
it's,
junk.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's not,
Mhm.
the parent square piece. I'm like, okay, well, hopefully they have the app and they're looking on there and that's
Mhm.
coming through, but, yeah, I agree. I think the physical letter
Don't,
and, right,
I mean, I don't look at parents square.
yeah,
My wife does, but
yeah.
Is it something that we could sign on behalf of the board of directors to give it a little bit more attention?
I would just send a bill that looks like a bill.
Yeah,
Maybe even throw a,
I
put it in a
agree.
window envelope with a return envelope and
Yeah,
a bill.
And
yeah, and
it's
put
past
like
due.
a little,
a past due bill,
envelope.
because it
And
is.
you'll
I
get a
mean,
bunch
like,
of them.
yeah, that's true.
Not all of them.
Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
Okay,
yeah.
we
I
can do that,
agree.
we can do a pass. And then just a return, like
Just-
how to.
Yeah,
Dear
Okay.
family, re-enrollment is coming soon.
right. Mhm.
Yeah,
You're
and
not
I
in good
think that this
standing.
is where we really need to do a better job with our future planning.
Yeah, yeah,
So like the process that we're moving forward with has to be completely different.
no,
We have to have full transparency as to exactly how and when and why, and here's
Yeah.
the
Right.
deadlines, and if you do not hit this deadline, here is
I mean, I think
something.
I think maybe we
More
mail them out in
consequences, but-
August. And it says
Yeah.
something like, this is due in September. And if it's not received in September, there's a 5% fee that applies in October.
Yes, interest.
And then it goes to collection.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a bill. It's not just like a donation.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
your child's supplies.
And
It's not
you
like
haven't
it's
paid-
nothing.
You're
I
not
mean, it's
having to go out to
classrooms that we're
Walmart and
trying
buy
to
these
fill.
supplies.
If you
you
haven't
know?
paid it, you're not in good standing.
Yeah.
yeah. So
So-
we did say middle school and high school, so secondary 1 and 2, that we were going to hold schedules until you paid.
Mhm.
So at registration, like our open
Mhm.
house,
Yeah.
we'll have people there with card readers. We'll all be there. Did you pay? Here's your schedule, kind of thing. Kind of like you would do at any other typical
Yeah.
school. Like, and we don't charge fees for certain classes.
Right.
Like, if you go into some of your high schools, they're paying a lab fee, all of these kind of
Mhm.
things. So we're not even asking for that.
Right.
To be honest, Stephen had already approached me to say we probably need to increase our
Technology
technology
fee,
fee,
yeah.
because that's increasing so much.
Yeah, if you're
And I'm
having
like,
a-
I can't get $100 out of some people, so.
Do we have a process for families who are facing hardships or a way
Yeah.
for
Yeah, they can make
families
payments.
to
like-
make donations to
Yeah.
help support that?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've been here for 5 years and I'm not familiar with that, so I wonder if you'd get some support from other families. I mean, I'd certainly
yeah,
sponsor a family, maybe that's another way to
Mhm.
help
Yeah.
as well, to see if someone.
So in the August
yeah. I'll put that in
letter,
there.
here is your
Mhm.
student's bill.
Mhm.
Would you be willing to sponsor a family?
Yeah.
Here is that too,
Yeah.
right? Like I'd be in the same boat. I'd
Yeah,
do that
sponsor
up
another
front.
family when I'm doing mine
Yeah.
and
Yeah, and then with
Yeah.
some information about if this is a struggle for you, here's
Yeah.
who you can contact.
Yeah.
And you need some criteria on that. I mean,
Yeah.
I'd rather have your $100 donation and a supply fee from someone that can afford to pay it.
Well, that's true, right?
You need to be on free lunch and some other things.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
But just some information for families.
Yeah.
Right. And I think some sort of QR code so that when they do have it, they can do it from their phone.
Right.
Then and
And
there, if
just
they're not
take it
gonna
to 'em.
write a check.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But-
I
Yeah.
will say with primary this year, it was a real struggle to pay the primary fee. We were in between switching. And I mean, I'm a technology professional and it took me
Yeah,
an inordinate amount of time to figure out
A hot
Yeah.
how to
minute.
pay my
Mhm.
child's
Yeah.
school supply fee. So, if we're all in the same place this year,
yeah,
hopefully
that'd be
that'll
better.
make it easier as well.
Yeah.
Mhm.
How many lab fees do you need to buy these sinks that we need? I mean, aren't we
Right.
doing those? That's what they're for.
Yeah, we're not charging any of that. Like, I think through that, like even culinary, I hate to be ugly, but the
Yeah.
kids taking that, it's costing us quite a bit of money, each week, and that adds up.
Oh,
And
yeah. I mean,
so-
you're getting charged those fees at a public high school.
Oh, absolutely,
You know,
you
so
are,
it's
yeah.
not-
Are you doing any sort of things like they do in primary, they do the food prep, they ask for donations?
Mhm. Yeah, no,
No.
we haven't been with the culinary program.
Yeah.
We've just been,
It's big kid food prep, I bet we
Yeah.
can send in stuff.
Mhm.
yeah,
Mhm.
They have big appetites too.
I think
Yeah.
it doesn't
Yeah.
have to be a lot, but you get 100 students in the lab, and you're $10 a piece.
Yeah.
That's a year's payment.
yeah,
on sinks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They last 30 years.
Mhm.
I think we could be doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that may be something, when I like come back to you all to say, we may
Mm.
need to look at our fees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And say,
And you
Um,
can say very transparently, here's why they're increasing.
Mhm.
We're investing in these programs as
Mhm.
follows,
mhm,
and that's what it's going to. So
right.
yeah,
We never had a high school lab before with sinks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
now we've
That's it.
added
Yeah.
this. We've added this program. We're
Yeah.
investing in it, right? So.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So then, what is the piece there, right? Like if they're not, if some family is not on free and reduced lunch and not claiming hardships, what is the,
so, and I don't know, that's something we would have to reach out to, because we are kind of in that gray of being a public school, like, I don't know what we can hold, like, we can hold your transcript, we can hold your report card, like, I don't know
Yeah.
legally what we can,
Let's talk about that tomorrow too.
okay,
yeah.
okay.
I mean, we've gone through 3 rounds of report cards at this stage, and I'm sure all of our families still got them,
Yeah, oh, yeah, they did.
right?
Mhm. So,
Yeah. So,
Okay. Good.
okay, so we'll let, our APs, if they want to go ahead and start the presentation.
you make them
Oops, let me make
Hey guys, yeah, Kristen, if you want to make me a host, then I can share my screen with you guys.
We should be able to do it now.
I did hear a little bit about the making of this video from some upper L kiddos.
Mm.
I'm
I hope it
curious. I don't know what it is, but I'm curious.
What'd they say? Hopefully all good things.
Yeah, all good things. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. Yeah, Leanna, Nicole, and I have been working on this for the past few weeks, and we love getting the kids involved. That, is the best part of the whole presentation. Steven, a huge shout out to him. He helped us, of course, after we had the videos. He made into the YouTube link. So I am just so excited to show you guys a little bit about upper elementary. I feel like I could probably talk for hours on this, but hopefully we're hitting like all the highlights, all the really important things, and just giving everybody a glimpse into our amazing upper elementary program. So let me start sharing. Can you guys all see?
Mhm.
Does it look good?
Looks beautiful.
Okay, perfect. All right, so like we've been doing with all of our deep dives, we really want to start, by having names and faces, because it's important to know the team, to know the amazing teachers that are with our upper elementary students every day. It's really great that we have also so many teachers that have been at our school for such a long time. I think as I listen to our conversations tonight and we talk about just like building programs and retaining students, it's equally as important that we're also retaining teachers, right? Because that helps to really build the culture of our classrooms, the culture of a team, and then really the culture of the whole school. So we have 5 upper elementary suites. Each suite has 2 teachers and 1 TA, so 3 adults in each classroom. Each teacher has a roster of about 23 students. So we're looking at a total of around 46 students in each upper elementary classroom. So we have the Ginsburg suite. That's Miss Anna, Miss Marnie, and then Miss Regina. In the Turing suite, we have Miss Michelle, Danielle, and Laura. In Goodall, we have Julie, Macarena, and Tanya. In Mandela, our twins, our triplets, we have Kamani and Stephanie and Nikki. And then in Tubman, we have Megan and Manway and Andrea. So 5 really solid, fantastic teams. So thinking about our upper elementary classrooms, Maria Montessori really talks about the classroom as this, the laboratory. And it's kind of funny, I've been talking about science laboratories, but the classrooms are laboratories because students are working, they're researching. It's a space for them to be explorers and to make discoveries. So the prepared environment is one of those vital, essential elements, right, of our classroom. So it's the prepared environment, the students and the teachers, and all kind of working in this collaborative manner. So in upper elementary, we're still in that second plane of development, and we're really just kind of increasing the skills and things they've learned from lower elementary. And one of those big parts of the upper elementary classrooms is that independence, right? And that's a word we talk about it in primary as students are learning what they can do for themselves. It's a lot of physical independence. And then we get into elementary in the second plane, and we're talking more about the intellectual independence, right? As students are asking questions, beginning to think for themselves, forming their ideas and their own opinions about things based on what they know and based on their experience. And then freedom within limits, that's also talked about quite often, and you'll hear it referenced in the videos because the students are aware of the freedoms that they're given in our environment, and they understand that there's limits that are placed on those freedoms. And it's important that they are taking responsibility with the freedoms they've been given. So you'll hear a lot of them mention that freedom of movement, right? And we talk about that all the time. Our students aren't, as you can see in this classroom, right? There's a huge rug in the middle. So our students aren't seated at desks that are in rows that everybody's doing the same thing all the time, right? There's freedom of movement as I'm going to a lesson or I'm going to get a new material. There's freedom of choice in what I'm working on. So in these classrooms, we do have the democratic delivery of lessons where our fourth graders are getting a lesson, our fifth graders, our sixth graders. And then after a lesson is given, there's usually 2 follow-up options. And that's where one of the choice element comes in. One type of follow-up might appeal more to certain students, while another could be maybe more artistic and creative, and that could appeal to certain students also. And then I always love to say that, honestly, the best follow-up works that I think come to us always come from the kids. And it always comes from them saying, okay, so I've heard these 2 options. I think I want to demonstrate my learning in this format. And then we talk through, of course, what that would look like. And then a lot of other students want to do that follow-up work too. So just another example of kind of the freedom within limits. And then the choice comes, of course, as we have our long 3-hour work cycle. It's the executive functioning of I'm going to look at my assignments that I have, and I'm going to choose which assignment I want to do first. Whether that's I know that I really am excited about this assignment and I want to get it done because it's a really strong interest, or maybe that's an assignment I'm not as excited about. So I want to knock that out so then I can get to all of the other works that I am really excited about. So the element of choice. And then with repetition, a student is always able to access any materials that they've already had a lesson on. So they're always encouraged to revisit lessons, to go back to materials they've worked with before, because there's always something new to discover and something to learn. So in these classrooms, you'll see a lot of students advocating for themselves. That's something else that's happening in upper elementary. Of course, there's a huge academic piece, but there's a lot of social, personal, emotional growth that's happening as these students are finding their voice. So that comes from initial goal setting to start the year, reflection throughout the year, and then weekly or bi-weekly check-ins with teachers. And this is when students can kind of start to really see, okay, I really love writing, right? I feel like I am a really strong writer. It's something that I really enjoy. In a group project, this is how I feel like I can contribute. But maybe I really struggle sometimes with math, and I find that that's a little more difficult for me, right? So it's student really starting the interpersonal reflection of what are my strengths, what are my areas for growth, and then making a personal plan for how you want to continue to grow in those certain areas. And then I think one of the best things is in our upper elementary classrooms, they're a safe place to take risks. Right? So classroom community and culture is created so that students see mistakes as welcome at times for growth, right? And the growth and the learning process, we always say, is really what's more important than the product. And you see that in these upper elementary classrooms as students are working together, as it's just really a joyful place for learning to occur. Okay, so these classroom communities that we talk about, and we talk about them as communities because they really are, we say it's a family when you're in that classroom. You know, the teachers, the students, they're together so many hours a day. And what's great about having 4th, 5th, and 6th grade is that you develop such strong connections. And the students speak about that in the videos too. The connections they have within the classrooms with each other and then with their teachers. And I know as a teacher, having that time to develop really strong relationships with parents too was always really wonderful, because the students come back and you already know them, you know the families, and you're just ready, to hit the ground running and then to welcome a new group of kids. So socialization, it's really funny. We like to talk about how in primary, it's very much me, myself, and I, right? You see a lot of the independent lessons, a lot of the independent work. In lower elementary, we start to see students are working together, more of that collaboration. But then in upper elementary, we go in and, of course, you can kind of hear the conversations. Socialization is really just the driving force. And if you have a student in this in upper elementary, their friends are the most important thing. And those social relationships are the most important thing. That also means they're constantly changing. We know that from our conversations we have. There could be a friendship dynamic that's changing. They might be struggling and we, are guiding them to go through something. And then of course, the next week they're back to being best friends. So that's happening in the classrooms all the time. So this social emotional growth is really guided through community meetings. Those are happening daily, through games and through those grace and courtesy lessons. This is really one of the ages where talking about like situations, what would you do in this situation? Letting them problem solve, modeling, role playing. These are really ways that we guide students toward just proper engagement and socialization with their peers. And then the collaboration piece. That is the number one question I would always get after giving a lesson. Can we work together? Because they want to collaborate. And when this collaboration happens, there's, they think I'm working with my friends, it's great. There's so much else happening when students work together in this way. So they are learning, maybe this is someone who is my best friend. Maybe it's not going to be a great work partner. So maybe I can start to learn who is going to be a good work partner for me. And if I'm collaborating in a group, what role can I take on, right? Maybe I'm the recorder, maybe I'm the illustrator, maybe I'm the writer, that we all have different roles. And then the peer support that occurs so naturally in our environments because of our multi-age classrooms. So we have sixth graders that can take on like a mentor leadership role, and guide the fourth and the fifth graders. And you see how much pride they take in that. And like I talked about, our classrooms really being a laboratory, they are primed for exploration. And the students towards the end of the second plane of development, they are just so curious about everything around them, about history and making connections. So you'll see a lot of asking questions, a lot of research, and discovery. And that really just permeates throughout the whole classroom environment. So that's really based on community and curiosity. And then our teachers really demonstrate that lifelong learning, right? We're always curious, we're always learning. And I think one of our favorite things that I think makes us so special too, of course, is our peace education and restorative justice. So this is another thread and something that's continuing to kind of link us from lower elementary to upper elementary. So weekly peace ceremonies are also happening in upper elementary. It's that time for students to acknowledge the other students or the staff for practicing parts of peace during the week. And I really wanted to highlight through these images just some ways that we kind of have been extending our peace education, because we always talk about how peace is an ongoing practice. And that's something that we talk about in all of our classrooms, right? So we're always kind of reflecting back on the parts of peace, thinking about how we've used them, thinking about how they could also be used in other situations. So these bracelets are, and you can see like the writing, but they're all the parts of peace. And this was one of the classrooms that was having a morning meeting. It was talking about our peace education, and the students just came up with the idea. Let's make these bracelets, and in the morning we can hand them out. We can acknowledge people who practice these parts of peace. And then throughout the work cycle, there's something that can be transferred. So if I saw that Kathy was really working hard on her stamp game lesson that she got, maybe I want to pass my effort bead to her. So it's really a cool student initiated way for them to practice peace throughout the classroom, really throughout the day. And then this chart is another upper elementary classroom, and this came after a peace ceremony. They were able to look at how many of each part of the piece, the beads that were strung, And then they can reflect and see, wow, and this happens quite often. I think this was enjoyment, but enjoyment is always something that you see tons of beads because everyone's enjoying being in school, they're having a great time. But acceptance, these yellow beads, sometimes there's less acceptance. So it's a perfect opportunity to have a discussion about, well, what is acceptance, right? And how could we practice it? What would it look like? So I think peace education just extends into upper elementary as students take a lot more ownership of it and talk about what it can look like in their classroom. And then they can dive a little bit deeper into the discussions about what these exact parts of peace are and how we practice them. And we always encourage families to use the same language to talk about the parts of peace at home and what acceptance or effort or problem solving might look like at home. And then restorative justice and peace education, of course, really go hand in hand because we know that conflicts, they are part of life. They are going to arise. So restorative justice we use as a structure for our conversations about how our words and our actions impact others, really with a focus on repairing harm. And there's kind of 4 questions that we go through, and probably by upper elementary, most of the students kind of can have this like playing on, on repeat. Of what happened, right? How they've been feeling, who was impacted. And that's an important conversation too, because sometimes they don't understand what impacted means. So you can really kind of dig deep and ask some questions. And then how would you go about repairing the harm, right? So if it's a logical consequence, if it's an apology, what is it? And it is so powerful because it comes from the students. It comes from their reflecting on their behavior or their actions and how it affected others. And then we ask if there's a part of peace that could be practiced. So whether, problem solving, of course, happens all the time. Maybe it's acceptance of something. So another way to kind of just weave peace education and restorative justice together. Okay. So instruction, what that looks like. And instruction in literacy, where you're talking about our junior grade books, our novel studies, along with all of our grammar shelf work, to enhance reading skills and foster literacy discussions. So you see here, we have some upper elementary students that are outside in the pavilion, just using the outside space to meet for novel studies, to have literacy discussions. Of course, along with literacy is writing. They're tied so closely together. So our upper elementary students are really they're writing 5-paragraph essays. They're being scaffolded on introductions, body paragraphs, transitions, conclusions, which ties really well to research. So research that's constantly happening, whether it's coming from a follow-up work, whether it is student-based interest research, things that they just want to know more about. So we have encyclopedias and other resources they're used to complete their research projects that are on lessons, topics from the lesson, or areas of interest. And then in science and culture, our students are making connections, like we talked about, the curious nature they have between the past and the present, all while observing the natural world. So whether that's experiments they're doing in the classroom, we're going to talk about Oakland Nature Preserve, or really just looking and being outside on our beautiful campus. The science and culture, I know those are always favorites, and they're really important lessons that are happening. And then with our math, we have students that are building on the concepts that were taught in lower elementary. And there's still materials in the classrooms that are being used. By upper elementary, they really are moving towards abstraction, right? So they're starting to see, okay, the racks and tubes that I was doing, oh, this is long division, and this is kind of why things work. I think so many times, I know our teachers talk about it, and hopefully in some of the parent education we'll do, is we as adults, we really have like that aha moment of like, oh, this is why we were taught this way. It maybe didn't make sense when we were, but seeing it with the materials really helps the students make connections as they're on that path to abstraction. And so one of the hallmarks, honestly, of upper elementary, I think it's one of the most important things that they're doing. It's something the teachers love, the students love. It's really the big projects. So when you think about all the work that's happened in lower elementary, all the executive functioning skills, now we're kind of seeing it all come together with these really big projects that students are doing. So they're usually happening quarterly. And students in this plane, starting from lower L to upper L, they're really ready for that challenge of big work. So the research projects incorporate the freedom of choice, right, within parameters. If it is a historical timeline, if they're choosing a person within a time period, if they're choosing a historical event within a time period. There's been cooking demonstrations. There are just, ranges of different topics that teachers will choose for their students to do the big projects on. And then they can work independently or collaboratively. So they'll research, they'll collect all the necessary information. There might be, of course, there's a writing element that goes along with it. And then the final step is usually a presentation, which it could be a written essay. Usually there's a speech, could be a trifold, it could be a cooking demonstration. Lots of different ways for students to show what they've learned. I think one of the most important elements of this is there is always that public speaking element where students are presenting either to parents who are coming in, or they're presenting to their classmates, and just really building the public speaking so they're feeling more and more confident. And teachers do a great job of scaffolding this, especially for fourth graders who are coming in who might not feel as confident. They will write their speech down, and then they'll put it on index cards, and then they'll practice just with fourth grade, and then they'll practice with their classmates, and then they'll feel ready to present it, to adults or to other people. So time management is in there, public speaking, and just it's many, many executive functioning skills are being included in these big projects. And I think the sense of pride that you see in the students as they have taken almost 9 weeks, to really work on a large project, and they finally get to present it. I know we love going to the classrooms and getting to see all the work they've done and just to see their smiles on their faces. It's fantastic. So if you are an upper elementary parent, I hope that you've gotten to get into your child's classroom and to see, one of the projects they've been working on. I probably could have done a whole PowerPoint just on big projects in upper elementary. And another kind of really cool part about upper elementary, and Kathy touched on it a little bit, is Wondrous Wednesday. And I think we have been so excited for the return of Wondrous Wednesday. If we have anybody who's been in our school for a very long time, it started maybe my first year, so 2017. And again, this was student initiated. So we had a student who was really interested in writing. And of course, we teach writing, as part of the curriculum. But we were lucky enough to have a local author who came, and she started a writing group, and they were writing stories, and they were working on editing and revising. And then it just kind of became this thing where we said, well, I bet there's probably a lot of other community members or parents who are very knowledgeable about topics that students are interested in that could then come in and lead a Wondrous Wednesday group. So it just kind of continued to grow. We talked to the parent community. We got information from students about topics they were interested in. And then students were able to sign up for groups that they wanted to be a part of. So it started we used Wednesdays, right? Because that's our early day. And we had parents come in, and we've just had the most interesting topics. We've all learned so much. I remember we had bonsai tree, we had stop motion video. Here, students are doing some work of the hand with some sewing. I have some other pictures. We had some dissection. We have some food preparation and some cooking that students are doing. So if you're an upper L parent, hopefully you've heard about Wondrous Wednesday, and that you'd be willing to come and lead a group. So there's a list of groups that are led. Students get to pick. Hopefully they're getting their top, first or second choice for the group they're in. And I know this year when we brought it back, they just did one Wednesday. Historically, we've tried to do 2 or 3 Wednesdays so that, because parents, there's a lot of information you want to give, and in 1 hour, you can't always give all the information. And then students really can get into a groove over those 2 or 3 weeks. So we're very excited to welcome this back. And I know this is a highlight for many of our students. And then the field trips in upper elementary too. These are really important. And we start with Oakland Nature Preserve. So here we have some students in Oakland Nature Preserve. That is, every class is visiting 4 times a year. So if it's like this week, I think Ginsburg A went today and Ginsburg B will go on Thursday. So they're going with their roster teacher. And the 4th and 5th graders, lessons will rotate. So there's probably 8 lessons. So by the end of 5th grade, a student would have all 8 lessons. And then 6th graders have separate lessons, and they're also doing dissection. I think I have a picture of them with a solar balloon. They're talking about cells and the human body. The last lesson, everybody is going down to like a Popka. We're talking about water conservation and and they're doing some different tests with the water. And then the goal for Upper L is to have annual science and history field trips. So in the past, they've gone to Kennedy Space Center. This year, I know they went to the Orlando Science Center. I think in March, they're going to the History Center. So the teachers are kind of working on a rotation. So these trips can have a science or a history focus. And then we kind of have this capstone trip, this 6th grade nature's classroom trip. It is an overnight trip. It's 3 days and it's 2 nights. It's in Brooksville, Florida, which is on the West Coast, almost near Tampa. And it's great because it's a time for all of our 6th graders to be together. And they are working in expedition teams. So they're doing some community building. They're exploring. They're participating in simulations. There's a night hike. There's a campfire. Kathy and I talked to a few 6th graders when they first got back, and they're like, oh, it's the best thing I've ever done. They just have nothing but high praise for this experience. And having gone on it several years, I agree. I think it's just a truly fantastic trip. The students are working together. They're also talking about food conservation. They just come back and they have so many good things to say. And it's a really incredible experience I think we're able to offer. And now really can be kind of like a capstone trip as our 6th graders that are, getting ready to transition to our secondary program. Okay. So I could keep talking, but I don't want you guys to hear it just from me. I want you to hear from the kids because that is the most powerful. Leanna and I did some interviews and we had the best time. We could honestly talk to our kids forever. The way that they're able to speak about their experience at our school, I think it's fantastic and really does speak to all the hard work, that our teachers put in every single day. Because the students are aware, and I think it's great to see how the interviews kind of just evolve from lower elementary to now upper elementary. So we spoke with 4th, 5th, 6th graders, just a range of students. Some of the questions were about, what's your favorite part of upper elementary? How is it different in upper elementary than lower elementary? We asked some of our 6th graders to reflect on ways that they feel that Upper L has prepared them to be in middle school, to be in our secondary program. And then we had some students who are newer to our school, like either it was their first year last year or they just started this year, and really just kind of asked them what's different about our school versus other learning environments that they've been in. So this is the part where I'm hoping I shared my audio also. So you guys just let me know because I want you to be able to see it and to hear it.
The friends that I have in upper.
You were able to hear it?
Yep.
Yes.
Oh, perfect.
Mhm.
All right, I'm gonna go full screen. All right, great.
All PE, all the specials that we get to do. Recess, playing with my friends. The freedom that we have in Upper L. And the fun field trips that we go to in 6th grade.
Probably the academics, and probably just being prepared and confident on what you're doing and having the independence of doing your own work and going by your own pace, but still going by the deadline. So that would probably be my answer. And really just showing confidence and always trying your hardest on your work. What I've enjoyed most is making so many friends, people from different grades. Like when I was in 4th grade, I met from the 6th graders and 5th graders, and being able to learn what they're learning and also what I'm learning, and the experiences with the field trips, and it's just overall really awesome. That I learned at Upper L that can help me when I go to middle school or more is communicating with different grades. Like when I was in 4th grade, I started to communicate with other kids so I can build my social skill and see who's what happens and stuff, and it's gonna help me later on.
Wood and Upper L is probably the freedom that have given us and that stuff, and the connection with your friends that you've been making all these years, 4th, 5th, and 6th. And the thing that they've been preparing us for middle school is the work they have been giving us, and just the freedom they have been giving us.
What I've enjoyed about upper elementary, probably has to be how they've taught us some really cool things, including algebra, decimals, like really cool ways to do decimals. And then one of the main things that I really liked about it is how you can like go out, like go hang out with your friends and do the same works with each other, just in like personal places. So it's some things I've learned that'll help me in middle school. A lot of math stuff. I really liked math when I was in 4th grade, and then I got amazing at it in 5th, and I love it in 6th. And then algebra really taught me a lot. Yeah, that's kind of it.
Found lots of ways to manage my time and how to manage all the work. I feel like I can do how I know how to like teach myself. So I like that about this school. Yeah. I like most about Upper L is all the friends that I've made from just 1 year from 4th grade and now to 5th grade, and the jump that I've learned and all the different materials and stuff that I've been taught. Some things are like harder and some things are easier, so it's at a really good spot for me. And what
IMO, you have more freedom. Like the other classes, you're gonna do this at this time. So like after recess, we'll be doing math, turn to page whatever, because we had a notebook and whatever. IMO is kind of, you can choose your own thing, go at your own pace, because in the other schools I was kind of feeling rushed. But here it's kind of do your own pace. They give you a little more time to do your work. Like the other days it was the other time you had to do it within like the hour or two. And so it's kind of a little nicer, you know? Yeah, IMO's just better than the other schools. Not trying to put them down.
There's our PR right there.
PR guy, right?
So the most things I like about upper elementary is that there's new responsibilities and we can work with other people, perhaps make a big idea, make a PowerPoint. Some things that I enjoy here at IMO Upper L. Well, we have a lot of freedom and a lot of new things that say if there's something, say if I'm in 5th grade, I can learn something from a 6th grader. And I like that there's 3 grades together, 4th, 5th, and 6th graders. Another thing I like about being in Upper L is like that there's 3 teachers and like there's more students, I guess you can say, that like are more responsible, like be a safety patrol and help others and be like cooperative and like compassionate about others. And I like to hang out with my friends a lot and get to choose where I get to sit.
Love it. It's beautiful.
All right. Thanks. So you guys heard it from them. I just think it's wonderful to see that like all the work that we do, everything we're talking about, the freedom within limits, you know, our students really feel it, right? Like they're able to articulate what they enjoy about our school. So we had a blast. Our kids are just fantastic. So I hope you guys enjoyed it.
Thank you, ladies, for putting that together. It was really great.
Always great to see these videos.
Yeah.
Wow, this is really
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, I love that.
So
Yep,
good.
it's our marketing campaign. We just need the students.
Yeah.
Throw that on Facebook.
And just to hear their consistent messages, like a
Yes.
consistent theme.
Yeah.
Freedom,
Yeah.
you know, they really
Yeah.
love that.
Been working across grade levels, for like that was
Yeah,
another
yeah.
theme you heard, you know,
Absolutely.
which is good
Because
too.
we find benefit in that.
There's value there for them. Yeah, absolutely.
And a shout out to the APs for putting that together, because that took a long time and it's not
Yeah.
like they don't have a million things to do every day. So thank you guys. That was beautiful.
It was beautiful.
Video editing, new skill sets there.
Yeah. Still growing, yeah. Thank you.
Right. I think we're on the finances.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yep. Sorry.
New hat for finance, right? Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we don't have a new report for this month because our report doesn't end till the 20th. And so it's just the way it fell. So I talked to AJ yesterday on the phone, just some updates for finances. He and I are working on the retirement piece where we're pulling out of ADP. And it's been great him having that background knowledge on all of the retirement stuff. So he knows what questions to ask. So we have decided to keep with Voya, who goes through ADP, but that's who we currently have. They offer separate too. So he's working with them to roll that over. And then we had our second call with value teachers, still waiting on a lot of information from them. So that's something as a board, once we compile all of this, we may come to you and say, hey, let's look at what we're offering there as far as that side and what we want to continue to offer. Because it's just been really, the two ladies who represent value teachers have been fine, but the actual TPA that does all of it, like once they get the client, they kind of move them on and we're struggling with them. But so AJ and I have been working together with that. And then Moody's has reached out to do a follow-up call for the bond rating. They want a mid-year review. And so they wanted it this week. And so I reached out because before Richard Marino was like, listen, don't do it without us. Since you've hired Building Hope, we will help you do all of the bond stuff. So I contacted him. He called me back and said, I really want to push that. And so he talked to Moody's. We're doing it next week. So Richard, AJ, and I are going to have a phone call on Thursday to kind of get our game plan together to present to Moody's next week. So I'll be able to tell you kind of what they say after that.
Is this similar to the investment call that we did? Like,
yeah, but I think
do you have to do the full presentation? again?
No. If you remember back when Moody's changed our rating, they just wanted to see things and our budget and all of that kind of
Q&A.
stuff. Yes, and so we'll do the same thing. I'll talk to them about our updated budget, working with the consultant, those kind of things. But Richard wanted to be a part of that and wanted to make sure we had
Absolutely.
everything.
Yeah.
So we're going to meet with them on Thursday. As far as budget planning, I've been working with Dana on the back end of building next year's budget. And so she's almost finished her end. What she's trying to do is set it up to where it reads right into, she works directly with where Building Hope works with Paylocity. So we say Paylocity, but it's both they go together. She's setting up the behind the scenes of reporting. And so she's said, kind of hold off on building the actual budget yet till we get the reporting straight. So we've cleaned up all of the GL codes. Everything's in Paylocity now correctly. And so she's working with their programmer to do the report side. So it'll be a one click. So every month, kind of like what we talked about, we'll be able to know our days cash on hand, all of that kind of stuff. But I have already started making lists. Lily's worked some too on vendors that we know we have to use. And so our first step will be working with the administrators to get with their team leads to say what are programs you have to have and what is a nice to have. And then we can start building that budget so that we'll have that. So that's kind of the finance piece, but the actual budget review isn't due yet, so we don't have that. But we will for next month. But it'll be again a month behind because I think our next meeting is again on the 12th or something, so it's not done yet. So that's kind of where we are finance-wise. But I will say, I know I'm gonna knock on wood, I said it last month, but it's actually been able to breathe a little bit with finance as far as looking at our account. So I am a little bit excited. That does not mean that we are where we need to be, but like making payroll and getting there. So that's our finance update.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. I think Sarah's on. Sarah, you want to give us PTO news?
Hi guys, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
All right, perfect. So thank you for everyone. I want to start off for who came out to the upper elementary someone special dance. Like Kathy said earlier, we had such a blast. It was amazing. I really want to give a special thank you to Helly Faircloth and Jessica Marison for their efforts. They were in charge of all the decorations and the themes and working with our crazy budget of who's going to actually show up. So thank you, ladies. It was amazing. Couldn't have done it without you. Wooden roses are in sale tomorrow. Someone's still packaging them right now. Where if you pre-ordered yours, they will be dropped off tomorrow, and then the PTO will be out in front of primary in Maine. So your students can bring some dollars and then they can pick up their wooden roses. We got really cute colors, even blue, if you can see it. And then so you can pick those up and deliver them. And then this Wednesday as well, our hospitality team is going to be hosting the middle and high school team meeting. So they are providing food and refreshments to teachers and staff as they do their monthly team building meeting at IMHS. So we're really excited to provide that this year. I want to give a special congratulations to our winning t-shirt design contest, Olivia Brenneman. Congratulations. If you'd like to order her wonderful shirt, do that by tomorrow to pre-order. We will also have limited sizes available at the upcoming Spring Arts Festival. That's going to be our featured shirt. So that was the one everyone voted on. It's beautiful. And you can order it in advance up until tomorrow. The 15th is National School Resource Officer Appreciation Day. So you can join us in celebrating Officer Loretta and Officer Stern. We're going to just be giving them a little token. If you see them on Thursday, just give them a high five. On Spirit Night coming up on 2/21, we're going to be doing West Orange Creamery. That's always a fun one. You can go from 3:30 to 7:30. And if you mention our school, we'll get 20% back. So it's a great little treat. We have an upcoming Parent Connect event. So if you're looking to meet other IMO families, join us for a nice nature hike at the Tibet Butler Preserve. We're going to be doing that Thursday at 9 a.m. We have our garden cleanup this coming up on 2/25. That's going to be for IMO main campus. And then we're also going to be doing primary. So we can use a few extra people to help with primary. So if you're interested in helping out, just send a message on that one post. And then the big event coming up is our Spring Arts Festival. So that is well underway. We have some wonderful sponsors. For anybody who doesn't know about this, this is our event that's free to go to. It's a showcase of our school. We're going to be having community artwork. So we're going to be having tie-dye stations, all of our band, drama, thespians, all of our show choir, they're going to be performing. So it's going to be really lovely. We'll have bounce houses. We'll have a hamster wheel where you can make your icy student artwork will be displayed. We'll have a DJ, food trucks, all the things. So if you don't miss it, save the date on March 2nd, and that's going to be from 10 to 2. So it gives you a lot of time to pop in, pop out, and just come check out everything our school has to offer. We are sold out of our gold level sponsor, but if your business wants to sponsor the silver spot, which would still give you a booth, it's the one time a year we open it up for businesses to kind of promote their event to the community. So it's a really great way to meet the community, generate local connections. And then the last thing, just a personal thank you to Ariel Pandoff-Schmidt for stepping up to be the Robotics Club fundraiser sponsor. And they are having planning meetings, and it is going to have their very first robotics team meeting, not this Wednesday, but the following Wednesday. So after 2 years of fundraising, we're having our first club meeting, and I couldn't be happier. It's so exciting. And that's it for the PTO update.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Awesome. All sorts of great things going on, ways to get involved. That's always good. Awesome. Okay, so on to committees. We have some fundraising updates, and I guess I'll say real quickly on just sort of committees. We are working with our newest board members to get them onboarded. So
Mhm.
that process is ongoing with training and background checks and all of that taking place, and then working through just the checklist with Kate George and Scott Farber. So that's ongoing. So, so how about fundraising?
All right, so last time we met, we talked about kind of formalizing I call development committee, which is everything
Mhm.
outside of grants. So I do have a group of people who we're gonna meet on the fourth Thursday of the month from 8 to 9 p.m. So it'll be me, Brett from the board, lovely Sarah from the president of PTO. She is going to be involved as well as a middle school teacher, Mr. Caleb, and a IMHS parent, Marty Leany. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, but he is a professional in nonprofit development.
Oh,
So,
wow.
yeah, so we haven't formally met yet, but we've been exchanging
Yeah.
emails on getting the group together, and I have talked with Kate about Kate running with grants, so I can focus on development and then the secretary role, and Kate graciously agreed. So yeah, so we will need to meet up, and I'm not just gonna drop it on you, but we'll transition. Yeah, so we'll kind of divide and conquer.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, so that's pretty much the highlights of what's happened over the past month.
That's awesome.
And it looked like you put a document out there.
Yeah, yes. So you wanted
Describing
me
it.
to formalize, so I kind of left them all under fundraising, and then I have two subcommittees.
Mhm.
So there's
Yeah.
grant writing, and then there's the development committee, which has pretty ambitious goals. The development committee encompasses the annual giving campaign, which needs, more energy and just kind of maturing that.
Mhm.
And then also it encompasses identify and guide an annual fundraising event or events that broadens the donation base beyond the school community. So we had talked
Mhm.
about like different ideas last meeting on that, and then leverage the board and the school community to identify prospective donors, individuals, corporations, and foundations, and have a more formal method to attract prospective donors to programs that include sponsorships, naming rights, etc. So, three pretty robust goals.
Mhm.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Multi-year strategy, I'm
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
We'll probably need volunteers underneath those goals.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, it's great to have the charter out there. I know that's what we
Yeah.
talked about with the committees, just getting a little document going out there so that we can, publish that and
Yeah, it gives a focus.
put that out there. Mhm.
It's great.
We need it. Yeah,
Yeah.
we need it. Absolutely, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
And that's great that we have interested people. So,
And then anybody can join those meeting dates, and they'll be posted on the calendar.
Yes.
right. So
So,
you're
yes,
you're
the
figuring
first
out
one
when the
is-
first one will be.
The first one's posted.
Oh, you already put it on the calendar? Okay.
Yeah, it's gonna be, yeah.
Just done taking over. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
she
already said so.
Yeah, and then we'll discuss if we're gonna keep that date for every month going
Okay.
forward. It was just, we just need to talk it out, because emails
Mhm.
is hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know the date offhand? I'll look at the calendar.
Fourth Thursday, is that what you said?
It's, yeah, it on.
22nd?
Oh, so it's gonna be this month. It's gonna be the 27th. Is that what you said?
22nd. Is it Thursday or Tuesday?
It's the fourth Tuesday, I'm sorry.
Tuesday, 22nd. No, that would be, yes. 27th.
There's one 27th. Okay,
Yes.
perfect. Okay.
Yeah, it is Tuesday.
And grant writing is the first Thursday.
Yeah.
Can you settle on a time or just?
Oh, it's
doing a
8 to
test
9.
run? Oh, 8 to
This
9 in the
first one.
morning.
In
Okay.
no, in the evening.
Oh, in the evening?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Got it, noted.
Via Zoom, I'm assuming.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
okay. Jammies appropriate.
Okay. That's exciting. Good. And Philip had passed along things on his proposals, I think, before he had rolled on with the work with the gala,
Event,
future galas and all of that too,
Yeah.
so.
And he also did float that in 2 months I could See if he's interested.
Okay.
So I have that in the back of my
Okay,
mind.
okay.
For sure.
Give him a little break.
Yeah.
Recruit him back. Sounds great. Yeah, if they go for it, yeah. Great. Okay.
That sounds like
anything
we're
else?
wrapping up. I mean, it's looks like we're right on target with some of our board goals, so that is a positive thing. We've kind of gotten that succession planning up and running. Heather's not stressed superly about the financial piece, so that like is, I mean, I feel like we're hitting that goal on there pretty hard then. So good things are coming around. I like that the planning piece is in place for, you know, the transition for middle school, right? Like we're really starting to see that come into an organizational kind of movement. So that is nice. I think one of the most exciting things today, though, was the fact that there was the numbers at the middle school meetings to me, right? Like that just shows that there is a group of parents and family members that want to be involved in that process. So I think that that's great. And I appreciate the way the admin is involving them, right? And just full transparency and showing the path there. So I just love that. So I appreciate all the extra effort you guys have got on that. But yeah, it is 8:48, and I hope everybody enjoys their long President's Day weekend next weekend, and happy Valentine's Day tomorrow. It's also Kindness Week, so go ahead and do an extra kindness for somebody you know. So never hurts, right? An extra high five and a hug this week. Have a great week, everybody.
Thank you.
Okay, bye y'all. Thank you.